Hey guys, Matthew here, and today I have a pretty cool video for you guys, but it's definitely going to be a little bit more controversial. This is one of these strategies, kind of like, you know, multi-boxing with beasts was, or stuff like that. One of these strategies that people are using to make a ton of currency that I think is only fair if more of you guys know about it. Okay, one thing that I will say, however, before I get going with the video is that I will not be providing any list of modifiers, or I will not be providing any sort of filters that are pre-made for you guys to take advantage of this. This is going to be one of these videos where I'm giving you guys the information, but you, if you're interested and want to try to take advantage of this, are going to have to go out and figure out what modifiers this applies to, and of course make the filters yourself. Okay, so now that the disclaimer is out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about what I want to talk about, and this is going to be how to basically never fail a Maven's Orb. So, when you think about a Maven's Orb, right, the first thing you think about is two modifiers, one of which you want, and then, you know, you're going to Maven's Orb, it's going to be a 50-50. Well, what if I told you that it doesn't have to be a 50-50? You can succeed every single attempt. You can literally never fail. All right, so let's talk about how that's done. So I prepared one little example here. So as you can see, this is a chess piece, doesn't matter what it is, but it is a single influence chess piece which has two influence modifiers. But here's the interesting part about this. You'll see that both of these modifiers are actually tier 1, damage taken from mana before life and percent intelligence. Now when I go ahead and Maven Orb this, it's going to choose one of these two at random and elevate it. But because they're both T1 modifiers, technically, because they're both modifiers that are actually sought after, right? They are both wins. So let me go ahead and show you guys what I'm talking about. So if you look at the price of a Maven Orb right now, I bought this one for 3.3 exalts. If I look at the price of a chess piece that has a single influence, that has a percent intelligence and damage taken from life before mana, from mana before life, you'll see that you can get these chess pieces for about 20 to 30 chaos, but of course it goes higher very quickly, as you know, some people know about this stuff. Okay, so now if we look at the price of damage taken from mana before life that is elevated, you will see that it starts at 10x. Now, of course, some of these are free usage. As you can see, this one has life and res on it. It's even got, you know, crafting modifiers. You know, some of these are actually out there for people to be able to just outright buy them and use them. That's not really going to happen, right? Nobody's going to buy an unlinked chess piece just with elevated before life for 16x to then, you know, link it themselves on a horrible base. Nobody does that, right? But as you can see, there are some chess pieces with this elevated mod that are actually being awakened or orbed with other chess pieces, with other modifiers, such as increased mana recovery, such as explode, right? So this is a chess piece that I will be able to sell if I hit the damage taken from mana before life, and it elevates for probably 5 or 6x. Meaning I pretty much doubled the value of my Maven's Orb for free, because I bought this chess piece for 30 chaos. Now, if I look at the other outcome, which would be elevating the percent increased intelligence and +1 intelligence, you'll see that I have one for 5 days ago here for 3x, which doesn't have any other stats, meaning it's possible to Maven's Orbit, which means at the very least I'm basically breaking even, but then we actually go up to 4x, and these have been there for a few days, so it's hard to say. Maybe these guys have not been logged in for a while, right? But if we look in more recent times, we have this one here, 4.5x, 19 hours ago, 6x, 2 hours ago, right? So, of course, this is linked, but this is not exactly a good base, so I don't think you would want that. 16x here for 4 days ago, right? So I will be able to probably sell, if ever I was to elevate the intelligence to for maybe like 5x or so, right? So if I elevate the damage taken before life, I can sell it for 5 or 6x, and if I elevate the intelligence, I can sell it for 5 or 6x. Meaning if I buy the Maven's Orb for 3x and I, you know, throw it on there, there is a 0% chance that I lose money, and there's 100% chance that I just about double the amount of currency that I've invested so far. All right, so let's go ahead and do it. Okay, so I went ahead and Maven'S Orb and I elevated the percent intelligence with +1 intelligence gems. This is pretty good this league. There's a lot of people who want this stat right now because stacking wonder is still pretty popular. So I'm probably going to be able to sell this for 5 or 6x, meaning I made somewhere between 1.7 to 2.7 exalt profit for essentially nothing. All I had to do was set up one of these cute little filters where I'm looking for multiple stats at the same time but only one influence. As I said, I will not be providing a list of filters or a list of affixes which you guys can you know, take advantage of this strategy with. But what I will say essentially is I'll give you guys the roadmap, if you will, or the methodology on how to find these attributes. So if I go ahead and take, for example, a pair of gloves, right, and I go ahead and look at influence modifiers, essentially I need to be looking at modifiers within a single influence, and I need to find at least 2 modifiers that are going to be sought after within that influence. So just to give you guys an example, I think Warlord is one of the better ones. Hunter's also quite good. If I had a Warlord pair of gloves with Culling Strike, lots of people are currently going for Culling Strike elevated. Lots of people are going for elevated melee range. Lots of people are going for elevated on melee, proj, spell, and damage over time. And of course, people want Frenzy Charge. So I could look for any 2 of these modifiers at tier 1. And so long as the base pops up, right, the gloves, if they actually appear, are at a decent price. So let's say, you know, 50C or even 1x or something like that. So long as I look at the price of the base plus the price of a Maven's Orb, and the outcome is worth more than the least valuable outcome. So for example, if my Maven's Orb is 3x, just to use a round number, and elevated melee damage by itself goes for 4 exalt, right, and then elevated Culling Strike goes for 6 exalt, and I'm buying the base for 1x, worst case scenario, I get to sell the elevated melee damage for 4x, which is the value of my base plus the Maven's Orb, and if I elevate the Culling Strike, I make about 3x pure profit from just buying a base and throwing a Maven's Orb at it. So a lot of people have been using this strategy to really make a ton of currency. There's a lot of these modifiers. There's a lot of these out there that are very, very good. Obviously, you can elevate gloves, boots, body armors, and helmets. So these are the ones that you need to be looking at. Now, when it comes to the super, I guess you could say commonly, you know, desired modifiers, such as things like Explode, such as things like Tailwind on boots, for example, right? These are going to be a little bit harder to come by, and also when they are priced, are typically going to be, you know, not really worth it to actually go for it, because people are pricing them to potentially people who would want to just use those items. So a lot of the time you'll have one modifier that's a little bit more of a in-between, and then you'll have the more juicy modifier. But in some cases, both modifiers are extremely, extremely good. But like I said, that's going to be up to you guys to figure out which ones are the best and which ones are actually not worth looking into. But that's pretty much going to be it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is definitely one of these, you know, hidden strategies, if you will, that people have been taking advantage of that I figured I would, you know, share with you guys. So on that note, I do want to say massive, massive thank you to my supporters: Flame Scorpion, Richard, Willie, Alex, Jordan, Emma, Raymond, Tim, Scott, Lost with the Map, Grimoire, Nathaniel, Kremage, Justin, Kevin, the other Justin, So Nice, Axel, Mercury, and Bizen. So it's a massive, massive thank you to everybody listed down below. Everybody else who has supported me in the past or who wishes to remain anonymous. On that note, that'll be Matthew signing out. Until the next one, peace.